Happy Thursday. Come on in, pull up a chair. The Daily Dope is in the air. Howdy, 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 gang. Yes, I'm Jeff McAleer, back once again as your host here at The Daily Dope, presented by thegaminggang.com. So, welcome aboard. Kind of weird start already, right? So all of a sudden I start the stream out and it dropped off. I was like, what in the world is going on? So, I made a few quick adjustments there, so we are in good shape. But it is Thursday, April 4th, 2019. Welcome to episode 277 of The Daily Dope. Of course, as I mentioned, I'm Jeff McAleer. I'm your host. This is a live stream, so if this is the first time you've stopped by to check out the show, be it live or Memorex, this is very, very casual. Just talk a little tabletop gaming news, maybe a little pop culture, and usually do an unboxing or a game review. So today I had to change things up a little bit because last night I had said, hey, on Thursday's show, because Thursdays are RPGs around here, I was going to do my review of John Carter of Mars from Modiphius Entertainment. And then last night I had to go and watch my niece and nephew last minute, right after I finished up last night's show. I got a call. My brother and my sister-in-law work for airlines, so they were not going to be back. They were both flying, asked me if I'd go. And then they were supposed to be back earlier today, but there's been crappy weather, so flights were delayed. And so what I'm going to do is tomorrow I am going to do my review for John Carter of Mars. Tonight, we're going to take a look at Wildlands from Osprey Games. It's designed by Martin Wallace. So we're going to take a peek at this. I've got a couple of expansions for it as well. So we're going to unbox that, dig into it. It's got miniatures in it too, so they look pretty cool. Paul Nolan is chiming in. Hello, Paul. Good evening to you as well. Hey, so that reminds me to tell you, there is chat available on YouTube if you're watching live right now. So, as Paul can attest. So, feel free, chime on in. If you got a question, hit me with it. If you have a comment, fire away. Maybe there's something about Wildlands as we get into it you want to take a closer look at. Maybe it's something I kind of gloss over and you want to get a better look. Feel free, chime in, let me know. I will respond. Do want to point out, chat is not on screen. It's one of the ways that I keep some of the stranger commenters at bay. But do want to mention, if you are watching the show and you like it, give it a quick thumbs up. If you happen to check out some of the videos on the Gaming Gang channel and you'll like those, why not subscribe? Please subscribe. And if you do, be sure to ring that bell because it will not only tell you when a new video has been uploaded, it'll also tell you when the stream goes live within about 5 minutes. So Paul Nolan says, I do have a question. Any further word on the Traveler board game? As in, when is there going to be a review? We're probably a couple weeks out for a review for Traveler Ascension Imperial Warrant. That just rolls right off the tongue, doesn't it? Probably about 2 weeks out, week and a half-ish out. It's only gotten to the table once. And my policy is game has to be played 3 times before I do a review. Unless it's a role-playing game, then obviously it's based on me reading through the book, or books, or PDFs, or whatever. And maybe sometimes even getting those to the table, too. So Paul says, anything new? Haven't heard anything in a long time. Paul, are you asking about as far as a review or as far as it being available, you know, to purchase online? Because the unboxing wasn't that long ago. I can't, I can't just, unbox stuff and then play it, like, immediately. Usually I can't do that unless, I was going to say, unless it's a Kickstarter. So, for an example, like next week, I am going to have a review of WrestleNomicon, which, of course, was just unboxed the other day. So this is actually a Kickstarter that's going on. So it's going to get played this weekend, and I will have a review of it early next week. I'll talk about that when I dive into what's coming up on tomorrow's show as well as next week's shows. Anyway, I do want to mention also, if you like the Daily Dope, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com, which is our home website, and tell a friend. Please tell a friend. I've been at this, this is my 9th year of covering tabletop gaming. It's my 43rd, 42nd year of gaming. So spread the word, tell a friend. Hey, so Nefarious Cole is stopping in. Wondering when, I'm assuming you're wondering when Traveler Ascension Imperial Warrant is coming to retail. I have to be honest, I don't think it'll be at stores. I don't think so. I don't think it had a big print run, and I do think that it has to be ordered through Daring Play, which is kind of affiliated with Lost Battalion Games. But I do believe that that you can only get the Traveler board game through Daring Play's website. Don't quote me on this. I mean, it is possible it could be showing up in stores somewhere, but I don't think it had that big a print run. I think it was basically to handle the Kickstarter orders, which the game took a long time. Let's be honest. I didn't even realize that when I interviewed my buddy Terry Coleman at the last Origins about it. It had taken about 3 years, I think, to finally come out. Yikes. So people gave me a hard time for interviewing Terry, and I didn't know. He said, it's, thanks for all the patience out there for the backers and stuff. I didn't know it funded like 3 years prior and hadn't been out. I don't know these things. So Terry's just a pal of mine I ran into. He's a pal of mine from back in the Victory Point Games day when he worked with them, and he asked me, hey, do you mind shooting a video with this? And I was like, sure, for you, not a problem. All right, so let's jump on into it. So we've got Nefarious Cole in chat. We got Paul Nolan in chat. I'm sure we'll have a couple other folks pop in. Do want to actually say, hey, thank you so much for hanging out in chat, too. So there have been, not lately, but early on when I first started doing this, there weren't a whole lot of people in chat. Maybe one or two, sometimes nobody. And it'd be like, yeah, I'm kind of talking to myself down here, which isn't really a big deal. I'm used to, like, hosting videos and things like that and talking into the ether. But, so let's jump on into the news. Do want to point out there are folks out there, I know they do not like the daily tabletop gaming news. If you're one of those people, look in the show notes. Just skip past, jump ahead. Don't want to hear you complaining. No complaining. I told you, you don't have to watch the news. But a lot of people here like the news, like me. I want to say I think Paul Nolan's a news fan too. So, do want to start off by saying there's a new expansion that's coming for AEG's Space Base. I have to assume everybody pronounces that game that way. They have to. I know when I interviewed Todd over at AEG and we were talking about Space Base, he did it too. He did the same exact thing. Anyway, so there's a new expansion that's coming. It's in August. I've got the dope. Following the events surrounding Shy Pluto, 2 new zones within known space have opened up. The Admiral has promoted 2 new captains to the rank of Commodore to command these new space bases and work their sectors. The Space Base Command Station expansion allows players to expand their games of Space Base to include 2 more players. Now, 6 or 7 Commodores can compete for the promotion to become the Admiral of the UES fleet. Inside, you'll find 2 more player boards, 2 more sets of starting cubes, ship cards, and additional materials to help balance and streamline these bigger games. You will need a copy of the space-based core game in order to use this expansion to make the 6 to 7 player game that this expansion offers even better. Add content from the Space-Based Saga Expansion 1, The Emergence of Shy Pluto. Space-Based Command Center brings the player count, as I mentioned, up to 7. It's for ages 14 and up, plays in around an hour. I'm taking a guess with 7 players, you're probably going a little more than an hour. And it will carry an MSRP of $39.99 when it arrives on August 9th. So I have heard a lot of people dig Space Base. I have not played it. I have not played Space Base. I did see it at Gen Con. I took a peek at it. I don't know. And I understand I could ask AG, and I'm sure Mara would send me a copy, but it just doesn't strike me as being my kind of game. I like games with a lot of thematic, with thematic action in it. And Space Base just strikes me as kind of being maybe like a puzzly Euro-ish game. Hey, look at that. Nefarious Coel says, looks rather Euro-ish. Exactly. And that's sort of the reason why I'm sort of like, yeah. I mean, I'm not saying I wouldn't play it. I'm just saying that it's not necessarily something that I was like, wow, I gotta get my hands on Space Base, please. It's not like the Judge Dredd game from Osprey. I was like, oh, please, you gotta send me this. Anyway, speaking of kind of Euro-ish games, very popular, there is a new game coming from Grey Fox Games. Fans of the Midgard series are certainly waiting its arrival, and it is Reavers of Midgard. And I've got the dope because it's coming this summer. Reavers of Midgard, designed by J.B. Howell, with art by Yaroslav Radecki, guessing on that, is the successor to the hit worker placement game Champions of Midgard. In Champions of Midgard, your quest was to become Jarl. You battled back the trolls, Jogger, and some of the epic monsters that once threatened the sanctity of your humble port town. Now it's time to go on the offensive. In Reavers of Midgard, you'll be looking to gain glory by raiding nearby villages for their riches, sacking well-fortified castles, and battling both man and monster on the open seas. You'll not only need to take your rowdy crew of Vikings and the food needed to keep them happy along for the ride. I'm sure you need more than just food. But you'll also have to recruit a crew of elite warriors, the Reavers. Reavers can be used in 3 different ways. They can be made your ship's leader, earning you a one-time bonus and enabling your warriors to be more versatile in combat. They can also be used to rally more warriors to your cause, filling your ship to the brim with the right fighters for the right situations. Finally, they can also be used to help your crew specialize, earning you a bonus every time your crew sails into battle. Whoever can earn the most glory after 6 rounds will be the winner. Reavers of Midgard is for 2 to 4 players, ages 13 and up, plays in around 75 to 90 minutes, and it will carry an MSRP of $69.99 when it arrives on August 29th. So, Daring Play has Traveler plus expansions and booster packs now. Yes. I thought they still had it. I was pretty sure that Traveler Ascension was available from Daring Play. So yes, Nefarious says the Viking theme is still going strong. Yes, Vikings, zombies, they're all still kicking. Although I gotta admit, I actually do like the first in the, what is it, Raiders of the North Sea? Which is the first of that series that's from Garfield Games that was released by Renegade Game Studios here. I dig that, and everybody I know digs it too. I've heard great things about Champions of Midgard, so I'd be interested in checking this out. So, Yeah, so everybody's kind of, there's a little bit of chat going on, and a little talk in chat going on right now about Traveler Ascension. Kind of on the fence about picking up, even after the unboxing. I don't blame you. I'm not going to reveal anything just yet, but I will kind of give you a hint, even though I haven't done the review yet. I will give you a quick hint here. Let me jump out of the news while I'm talking here. This is just doesn't look like this is straight up today. What's going on? You know, and this keeps... I gotta tear this thing apart because this camera just keeps kind of just gotta... Hey, Rob Moffat's popping in. How's it going, Rob? But I was gonna say, I'm not gonna spoil a review. Okay, I'm not gonna spoil the review that's coming for Traveler Ascension. I will say it's going to appeal to people who are really big fans of Traveler, especially, what is it, the Third Imperium, I want to say. People who don't know about Traveler will find it to probably be pretty fiddly. They might find it a little overwhelming, to be honest. But it's got a lot of interesting things going on in it. Let's just say that. But stay tuned. I will have a review. Anyway, got a similar impression as I did with the new upcoming Sandy Peterson board games. Theme is great. Gameplay doesn't look that great. Well, I gotta be honest. I have never played Cthulhu Wars. Although I gotta say, those miniatures looked awesome. And the funny thing is, I got to sit and chat with Sandy Peterson and a couple other people from his game company at Gen Con. And they gave me copies of this card game that they were really pushing. And it sucked. Oh, was it just horrible. The card artwork was really cool and stuff like that, but the game was just awful. I mean, not horrible, but it was pretty bad. It was not anywhere close to being good. All right, let's get back into the news here, because this summer is going to bring more 32mm miniatures for Star Trek Adventures from Modiphius Entertainment. And I've got the dope on the 2 sets that are coming. There's the original series away team, which they never called them away teams on the original classic Trek. Landing Party, come in. This set includes 10 highly detailed 32mm scale unpainted resin miniatures of an original series Starfleet away team for use with Star Trek Adventures, the tabletop role-playing game, and geomorphic deck tiles. This set contains 1 male officer and 1 female officer of the Andorians, Denobulans. I don't remember them. Tellarites and Vulcan species, as well as 2 male humanoid miniatures. It's kind of odd to present it that way. One of them looks just like Kirk. Why couldn't they just say Kirk? One of them looks like Spock. Why did they just say Spock? Don't know. The 10 miniatures will carry an MSRP of $49.99. Now, the one that actually looks really cool is the, well, not that these don't look cool, but there's the iconic villains. You are an imperfect being created by an imperfect being. Finding your weakness is only a matter of time. This set contains 8 highly detailed 32mm scale unpainted resin miniatures of iconic Star Trek villains for use with Star Trek Adventures, the tabletop role-playing game, and geomorphic deck tiles. This set contains the Borg Queen, Q, the cutest of Borg, Ghoul Dukat, Lore, General Chang, and the Gorn Captain. These 2 miniature sets do carry MSRPs of $49.99. They are expected to release sometime in July. Pretty sweet. I see 3 lights. I don't know if anybody's going to catch that. That was kind of a running joke with Elliot Miller, my best friend. over at voiceofe.com, who is actually posting things again, finally. Hasn't done any videos in that, but he is planning on going with me to Gen Con, so that'll be cool. So I guess we're not teaming up. I guess he's probably not coming back to the gaming gang, but that's okay. That's cool. We're still friends and everything, still best friends. But yes, I think it's 3 lights. It's not 4. It's not I see 4 lights. I think it's 3. I see 3 lights. Anyway, these miniatures look really cool. I gotta say, they look very, very cool. 32 millimeters, so they're a little bit bigger, right? Because although that's kind of what size minis are now. They used to be 28. Before that, they were like 24. So they were even smaller. But for the away team, 10 minis for $50, that's not a bad price. That's okay. I think that's fair, especially if you compare it to things like Games Workshop. The 8 for the villains at the same price, not too shabby either. I think that's a little touchier. Although it's kind of funny. There's like the Gorn Captain. Gorn Captain really wasn't a villain. Anyway, all right. So, let's see. Is Modiphius releasing a source book for the original series? I do not know. I don't know. What I do know is that Modiphius has licensing rights to all of Star Trek, so all the series, because they've released some PDFs of the original crew, the Next Generation crew, and Deep Space Nine. So they've had all the characters from that. The only thing they do not have a license is Discovery. So, and I know there were people who were like, I can't believe they don't have Discovery. What's wrong with you? Probably the same people who sit there complaining that Discovery isn't Trek. And I mean, Discovery's cool, but I mean, to me, it's sort of like, it's supposed to be before the original series. And they have all this technology that was not in the original series. I don't remember any holograms in the original classic Trek. On a side note, I really like the Orville. It's like Orville really has that like Next Generation vibe to it, and that's not a vibe that Discovery has at all. Discovery, yeah, it's probably the same buzzkills that complain about you doing the daily gaming news. Probably. Why don't you have Discovery? And I don't want to hear any more damn gaming news. Anyway, all right, so how about some role-playing game news? This is my final news piece, because the newest supplement for what I consider to be my favorite new role-playing game of last year has arrived, and I've got the dope Wind Dies, Pale Grass Grows in Spirals, Lichen forms blurred iridescent sigils on cracked stone. Black trees curl their trunks and crook their branches as if bowing. The spire is driven through the skin of the world like a pin through curling paper. With every step toward the tower, it writhes and warps like a hallucination. It seems infinitely tall, like something in a dream. There is one silver door marked with a penovated eye in iridescent blue and green. This volume collects 4 adventure sites for the Forbidden Lands role-playing game, written by some of the best writers in the field today. Within these pages, you'll encounter a dreaming demon queen, a prison of strange beasts who call themselves a family. We are family. Little Pittsburgh Pirates. Right? Anybody ever thinks of like the old 1970s pirates, it's always we are family. There's a coven of witches who don't get along, and the weird graveyard of the last thunder lizard to walk this land. The Forbidden Lands are more dangerous than ever. Only the most foolhardy and resilient adventurers will live to tell the tales of these adventures. This book contains, and is actually titled, The Spire of Quetzal. I think that's how you might pronounce it. By Patrick Stewart. The Bright Vault by Chris McDowell, Hexenwald by Ben Milton, and Graveyard of Thunder by Carl Surgenberg. You can score this 72-page adventure supplement for $9.99 over at Drive-Thru RPG. This, of course, is from Free League Publishing. Sounds cool. Gotta say, $10 for 72 pages. It's too pricey in my book. And I love Free League stuff. I really, really do. And I really liked Forbidden Lands. In fact, if you have not checked out my review of it, of the box set, I thought it was spectacular. On a side note, I do want to mention that with the new release of this supplement, all the other Forbidden Lands PDFs are on sale over at Drive-Thru RPG for 25% off. So, of course, as I always like to point out, the Gaming Gang, and thus the Daily Dope, is an affiliate of the One Bookshelf sites. So if you are going to go over to Drive-Thru RPG, please click on one of our banners over at thegaminggang.com. That way, when you go through that, if you do make a purchase, if you happen to make a purchase, I'm not twisting anybody's arm, we get a little portion of that. And all those little nickels and dimes all add up. They really, really do. I really appreciate all the folks who do use the banner ads from the Gaming Gang to go make their purchases at the Drive-Thru sites or Wargame Vault and stuff like that. Really, really appreciate that. So let's see what's we got here. A bit of Trek, a bit of Galaxy Quest. Yeah, a little bit. The Orville is a little bit of Galaxy Quest. I have noticed after about the midway point of the first season of the Orville, they kind of cut back a bit on the comedy because it was just like okay, because it was just a little too fart jokey and stuff like that. And I was like, But then like the second half of the first season was like, wow, you know, this show's actually getting pretty good. And I think I'm behind one episode for this season, but there was the episode, I'm not going to do any spoilers if people haven't watched the show, but there was that two-parter they did that really had that whole like Borg vibe to it, like that classic best of both worlds story arc from the Next Generation. As with so many RPGs, I'd like to see more monsters and such for Forbidden Lands. I agree. I definitely agree with you on that, NK. The thing with Forbidden Lands that I really dig, and it was funny, I listened to a podcast, which is these folks are more powered by the apocalypse. It's almost always powered by the apocalypse stuff, which I have no beef with it. Yeah, that's fine. But they were one of the guys was like, we didn't like, you know, Forbidden Lands and blah 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 blah. And it was kind of like, yeah, okay, because it's old school. It really is. It really does have that old school Renaissance vibe or revival, whatever you want to say. But and it's, you know, powered by the apocalypse absolutely does not have that old school vibe whatsoever. So I was kind of like, dude, he was like saying he couldn't stand it. And I was like, it's not much of a review, man. You gotta be open-minded. You can't just sit there and be like, oh yeah, this powered by the apocalypse game is awesome. And anything that's not powered by the apocalypse is like, yeah. All right, so they do have some. Yeah, actually, Free League's got some powered by the apocalypse with what is it? It's not Legendary. It's not called Legendary, is it? Maybe it is called Legendary. What's the Free League game where it's like Generations, and it is powered by the apocalypse? It's like Generations. You're playing generations of like clans and things like that. For some reason I want to say it's Legendary, but I don't think that's it. Anyway, all right, so before we start taking a peek at Wildlands, let me once again point out that since the Gaming Gang and the Daily Dope are not for profit, please allow me to point out that do me a favor, if you like the show or you like the website, please consider making a small donation to Lil Bub's Big Fund and the American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals. Yes, Lil Bub's Big Fund is actually grant money that goes out to organizations that care for special needs animals who are awaiting adoption. 100% of all funds that are raised. This is not always the case with the ASPCA, but it is with Lil Bub's Big Fund. 100% of those funds are actually granted out to various different organizations taking care of special needs animals who, you know, might be old like me, or well, they're not going to be 51 years old. I'll tell you that right now, unless they're a tortoise or turtle. But anyway, maybe they have some mobility issues. Maybe they're blind. Maybe they're deaf. Maybe they require some medications. But these animals still deserve plenty of love, and they will pay you back tenfold in that love as well. So, as I mentioned, if you happen to like the show, you like the website, consider tossing a couple of bucks their way. And if you do, by all means, shoot me an email. My email's right down there in the corner. Hey, you know, if you ever want to shoot me an email about something else, it's okay to do that too. But if you do make a small donation to Lil Bub's Big Fund, shoot me an email. Just let me know. You don't have to prove it or anything. Just tell me. And I will definitely give you a shout out on the following show. All right, so let's see. We call that D&D devotees. People refuse to play anything but D&D. I don't have a beef with that. The only beef I ever have, and today's actually supposed to be a role-playing show, right? I don't have any beef with somebody who's like, this is my favorite role-playing game, and that's what I play. No beef at all. Because I spent decades running Call of Cthulhu, and really didn't run anything else but Call of Cthulhu all the time. And I noticed this is listing again, for crying out loud. I'm gonna have to tear all this apart over the weekend a little bit. And I know there are people out there who, you know, there's people out there who are like, I only play 5th edition and all other editions of D&D suck. So there's those people too. My issue that I'll have with people is when they only play one system and then they just whine and bitch and complain about every other system sucks. It's like, how do you know that? You've never played them. Plus, I gotta be honest, oh, see, Paul saying he does champions. What champions? Pfft. Pfft. Mutants and masterminds, man. Champions. See what I mean? That's how people are, though. Oh, your game's no good. You're doing the wrong fun. Hate that. Whatever you like, play it. I gotta be honest. The systems don't matter. I gotta be honest. The game comes down to who is your game master? Who's running the game? Because you can take the worst system and have a really great game master, and you'll have a blast. And you can take the most perfect system you've ever run across, which doesn't exist, and have a lousy game master, and you are going to want to poke your eyes out. It will be that bad. So, anyway, yeah. That's the only issue I really have. Stream is dropping a little bit. Yeah, I do see that we've dropped some frames. Thanks for pointing that out, NK. It looks like we should be fine as far as when the show renders out. So, yeah, it looks like we dropped just a little bit. So, yeah, it happens. It does happen. You know, it's weird. We'll sometimes see some dropped frames. As long as we don't cut out, we'll see some dropped frames in that. But it seems for some strange reason, like those frames end up appearing on YouTube on the rendered video. I don't know. I have no idea what the deal is. Unless it gets super, super choppy. Hey, last night we had 0 drop frames. We had no drop frames. So that was very, very cool. Of course, if there is a problem with this video, I record these anyway. So just in case, I can actually upload it. Although, if you watched, I'm trying to remember which show was it. Maybe it was the WrestleNomicon. That the one that we dropped that we completely dropped and then came back up, and it wasn't long enough for YouTube to make it 2 videos, so they made it 1, which is cool when they do that. When that dropped, it threw the audio out of sync. So the audio is like out of sync by a little bit on the rendered YouTube video, and I was like, oh well, I guess I'll just upload the video I've got. And I checked that, and I'll be damned, that was also out of sync. Yeah, you know, it happens. It happens. Right in the lag. There you go. Yes, right the lag. Yeah, we're looks like we're getting some more of these drop frames. Let's take a look here real quick. Every once in a while, if I play with the settings, it kind of straightens out itself. Let's see if I can do that. Maybe, maybe not. We'll find out. We'll see what happens. Okay, so I was gonna say what's on the show tomorrow and into next week. So on tomorrow's show, what I was gonna do today, I am going to review John Carter of Mars from Modiphius Entertainment. This is the collector's slipcase edition. It is a landscape. The books are landscapes, so they're actually like this. So I gotta be honest, it's all right. I guess, you know, yeah, maybe they were trying to do like a coffee table sort of thing. But I'm not going to ding it in the review for it, but it's a little odd. So that's on tomorrow's show. Then Monday, I am going to be reviewing WrestleNomicon. Yes, that we just did the unboxing for. We're going to be playing this weekend, and we're going to take it from there. Check this out. See if it's worth a $20 Kickstarter pledge for this. I think it's about 80% funded at this point, maybe a little bit more. Then on Tuesday's show, we're going to take our first look at Judge Dredd, The Cursed Earth, or maybe you like me to say The Cursed Earth. So we're going to be taking a look at this. I am excited to check this out because it is actually based on Pierre Sylvester's Lost Expedition mechanics, which is also from Osprey Games. This is also done by Pierre Sylvester. So, and this is like one of the classic Judge Dredd story arcs. So I remember that from way back in the day. So that it is, gosh, I bet you that story arc's 40 years old. Maybe close to that. Wednesday, War Game Wednesday next week. I am going to unbox and take a first look at the Dark Valley Deluxe Edition. This is the Deluxe Edition. This is not the little lightweight itty-bitty box that we had for the first edition of the Dark Valley. This is big, and this has got a lot of heft. I can tell right now, we're going to open this up. There's going to be no empty space in this box. It is, and it's, as you can see, it's a deeper box too. So that will be on Wednesday. And then Thursday, I'm not sure. Thursday, I'm probably going to finally do my review of the Dark War Rebooted for Tiny Battle Publishing. Or I might actually do like a bonus video this weekend. That won't be live. I'll just do a bonus video. And then on Friday's show next week, I got a lot of stuff planned out. I'll be doing the review for Kanban Drivers Edition because I've been kind of putting that off a little bit. But subject to change, of course, obviously, subject to change. So obviously we need more World War II Hex Encounter war games being released. Don't get into a fight with Robert over this, Nefarious. I'm telling you. You don't want to get into that. Yeah, what we need is another Bulge game. From let's make sure it's from, what is it, Decision Games now? Isn't that what they're called? Awful. Just awful. Yeah. Okay, so we are going to hop in and take a peek at Wildlands from Osprey Games. Bing, there we go. It's designed by Martin Wallace, so that means at some point in this gameplay there is something that makes you scratch your head. Artwork is provided by Alan Spiller and Jan Tisserand. The game is for 2 to 4 players, ages 14 and up, plays in around 30 to 60 minutes. It does carry an MSRP of $80. There are also 2 expansion packs we're going to look at tonight, and those carry MSRPs of $25. So let's move on over to the other camera. Oh yeah, Pinky's down. Hello, Pinky. I'm sure you folks hear that. 2 nights in a row, Pinky's been down here complaining. Kind of odd. Kind of odd. All right, let me get my reading specs here. And let's take a peek. So we got Wildlands. Good sized box. It's got quite a bit of heft to it. And it says, and of course I'm getting clear here for me to try to read this again. You know what? Give me a sec. There we go. That's just as bad. Let's try to get a little more light on some of the games from a certain angle here. And all right, let me kind of lean over. Let me move in a little bit. The great darkness has fallen, and the empire with it. The arcane crystals which once powered entire cities were shattered, and the darkness was destroyed by the magics unleashed. All that remains are the lawless ruins known as the Wildlands, and the shards of the crystals that have been strewn across them. Now a few souls, the brave and the desperate, seek the shards to harness their power for their own ends. Take control of one of 4 factions from the spell-slinging Mages Guild, or the nimble Nomads, or the versatile Lawbringers, or the hard-hitting Pit Fighters. Each brings their own playstyle with unique decks of action cards determining their abilities on the battlefield. So plan your tactics carefully. Dash through the ruins to grab the crystals you so desperately desire, or focus your efforts on taking out the opposition. But take care, danger may be lurking in the darkness. In the Wildlands, opportunity awaits if you fight for it. Alright, so... Oh, learn how to play and watch it played. Get out of here. I'm kidding. I gotta be honest, I don't think I've ever watched it played. We're starting to get just way too many people doing reviews and things like that. Or Mark H. Walker, good pal of mine, and of course Rob Moffat is a fan of Mark Walker. He and I have been kind of going back and forth a little bit on Twitter. That we've got all these people now who are like, oh yeah, I'm a reviewer. I'm a professional reviewer, which is like, yeah, okay. And what they're doing is they're presenting these like an unboxing, right? I do unboxings. This is not a review. And there are a lot of people who are like, hey, thanks for the review, you know, comments and stuff. And I'll be like, it's not a review. It's just an unboxing. Stay tuned. The review's coming. But he's starting to get a little pissed off because I guess he's been sending stuff out to reviewers, and he's getting either they don't review it or they just do an unboxing. He said one of them did a review and all it was them reading the flavor text on the back. It's like, what? All right, so hey, Flaming Huron's showing up. Hey, Flaming Huron, good to have you joining us. Just in time for us to crack open Wildlands here. Oh, and as I mentioned, I do have a couple of expansions. We're going to take a peek at these too. So I believe there are like 20 miniatures in this. So here's the oddball thing. When I first heard of this game, and I kind of saw the artwork, and for some strange reason, I thought this was like anthropomorphic animals. I don't know why. I was like, oh, okay. I was thinking it's like, hey, here come the squirrels. You know, I don't know. But it is not. It is not like that. So, okay, so we've got a rule book, which looks really short. What do we got here? Let's take a peek. So we're showing the contents, components. So, okay. quick play rules. What in the world? What in the world is that? The Brave and the Desperate. So we've got the Guild, we got the Lawbringers, we got the Nomads. Are they gnomes? I'm guessing they're gnomes. And we've got the Pit Fighters. So talking about card breakdowns, we've got character cards, we've got action cards, faction cards, and map cards. Talking about the map, breaking down the map for us. We got spaces, arrows. An arrow is a dividing line indicating a climb to a higher ground. You must climb to enter these spaces, spending additional movement. This is what I thought was kind of interesting, was Martin Wallace was pretty much kind of designing a miniatures game. Sort of how I kind of take this game. Probably thought it was another furry game because of the artwork. Yeah, I mean, sort of, because it's like, we got this wolf, we got this owl. I guess kind of, you know, kind of caught my eye a little bit. I thought, oh, yeah, this is a... This game with, like, you know, possums fighting. Talking possums. Okay, so, alright, so we've got the map breakdown here. Okay. Showing cores. I guess those have numbers. Common concepts. Playing out of turn. Some actions like melee or shield can be used on other players' turns. These are almost always used to defend your characters. Okay. Got damage. We got line of sight. Playing the game, setting up. So you choose a faction and a color. And choose a map to play on. So I guess we're going to have a few different maps in here. Got positioning. Talking about your turn. Revealing characters. Yeah. She was very revealing. Nefarious says, nomads. Yeah. Exactly. That's kind of what it's supposed to be. I think. We'll find out when we take a look at the miniatures. If you have one or more characters still on their character cards at the start of your turn, you must reveal at least one. So no hiding your characters. But if your character's sitting on a character card, I guess the other players know what you got. Talking about card play. You can play as many... it says, on your turn, you may play as many action cards from your hand as you like, one at a time, unless you're climbing to high ground or collecting a shard. Each action card has multiple ways it can be used. When playing the card, you select one option and forego the chance to use the others. Ending your turn. Once you want to stop playing cards and revealing characters, you may declare that you're ending your turn. Draw 3 more cards from your action deck, regardless of how many actions you played or cards you played. I wonder if there's oh yeah, looks like a hand limit of 7 cards. So ending the game, we got default actions: move, climb, claim shards. They look a little like kind of like, whoa! Eyes are bugging out there. Flag actions, open actions, melee, heavy melee, ranged attack, heavy ranged attack, area attack, shield, cover, rally, and fly. Move this character up to 2 spaces. You may ignore the movement rules related to high ground when flying. Then we got a defense breakdown. So, okay. So I'm almost taking a guess that, are we looking at almost like plotted actions here? Well, maybe. Because, well, I guess the shield, I thought the shield and like the defense you can play out of turn, so maybe that's it. Then we got wild actions. Wild movement, draw 2 cards, interrupts. So yeah, you may play this card out of turn immediately after another player plays an action. So some of the defensive stuff must be these interrupts here. Okay, so those are the rules. What were those? 14, 15 pages? 14. There you go. And it says, Wildlands, the unique... Oh, I'm sorry, unique, duh. The Unquiet Dead. Why, amazingly enough, we got that. We're going to take a look at that in a moment. Okay, so it looks like here's Here's the maps. I'm gonna take a guess this is dual-sided. I'm gonna get this box top out of the way here for a sec. And I'm gonna grab a quick sip here. Okay, so yeah, it's dual-sided, so we've got 2 maps. Now, I do believe, I might not be completely accurate with this, but I do believe that there is a map pack. Come on, you. I believe there's a map pack that's going to be coming out from Osprey Games for this. So I'm not sure if it's going to be mounted. I'd assume probably mounted. So this almost looks like a dungeon here, doesn't it? Kind of. Looks like this might be a dungeon area. So we've got kind of like crystal caverns here, like spider webs. So like a mine over here. We got some tracks and stuff. So that's the one side here. And this is gonna be outside. Looks like it. Looks like kind of a keep. Might be kind of a keep. So we got the walls here. Oh, it looks like, yeah, maybe a ruined keep. Or something along those lines. Let me move this up a little bit so we can get a better look here. So, yeah, looks like maybe, you know, dilapidated. Yeah, dilapidated palisades or something like that. So that's kind of cool. So it appears, boy, reminds me of the game Dungeon. Yeah, a little bit. It does appear that everything's just broken up into areas here. So we've got different areas. So no doubt you're probably moving, you know, your characters from like area 10 to 30, moving your minis. So we've got the two maps. So Nefarious is not digging the outdoor side so much. It's all right. Looks okay. So let's see what we've got here. Looks like we've got some decks of cards. We got some minis. We got more stuff underneath here. Oh, more minis. So each of the factions. So I am going to zoom in on the miniatures. So we will look at the miniatures close up. So let's take a peek at some of the stuff we've got here. It's got a nice little plastic cover, and it's not super thin plastic. I mean, it's not real thick, but it's not like some plastic where you ever see sometimes they'll have like the little plastic cover on it, and you just kind of pick it up and it starts breaking apart because it's real fragile, real kind of stiff, crappy plastic. That is not the case. And so it looks like we've got some plastic cubes. I'll take a stab. Maybe this is damage. I'm gonna take a guess. It's probably damage. So is this a card-driven game? It looks like it. It looks like this is a card-driven game that each of the factions will have their decks of cards. I will take a guess that these are probably the shards. That is my stab in the dark on this. Is that these are the different shards, probably different value shards, because it seems like that's what you're trying to do. Is you're trying to collect these shards. I would have thought this would be more of like a scenario kind of game. You know, that's kind of what I would have thought. Right, so we've got the little bases to place the characters in, so that you can tell who's who, which faction. So we've got those. So we've got decks of cards. So it looks like we've got the 4 decks of cards. I'm Edith. Hello, Edith. And he's unknown. We don't know who that guy is. Let's open this up. Let's look at all the decks of cards. Now we've got this, like it's almost like a gem. It's like a hexagonal gem. Well, no, it's not really hexagonal. It's octagonal, right? No, it's hexagonal. Just oddly shaped. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, it's 7-sided. So I was going to say, it can't be hexagonal. That looks weird. So I don't know what this is. Maybe a player marker? First player? I don't know. Because this is for 2 to 4 players. So there are 4 factions. Looks like we got another little deck of cards. Let's take that out. All right, and I'm just going to put this on top here. We're going to zoom in because we're going to take a look at some of these cards. Let's see. And yeah, I guess we can go touch more. Yeah, all right. Try to get that focused in. A little autofocus. Robert Moffat says, I may be a wargamer, but I love watching the Daily Dope and Jeff checking out new games. Yeah, because I'm like almost like a little kid. Because I'm like, I don't know what this is. Let's check it out. Thank you, Rob. I appreciate that. All right, so is this going to be one of these things where the little strip doesn't actually help you open it? No, let's see. Is that it? All right, where is this? What's going on here? You know what time it is. Hobby knife time. We're not messing around. Let's get this opened up. Jeez. We'll do that to all of these. Come on. This is one here. I'm not sure what this deck might represent. Obviously, these are the faction decks, so these are going to have the different actions available. Well, that's kind of interesting, right? So it's card driven, so I guess you can't just do whatever you want with your characters. You got to have cards. Did that cut that open here? Jeez. How in the world do these guys put this together? Ay, ay, ay. It's like I can't... There we go. I was like, my gosh, what's up with that? All right, so here we go. So, first off, taking a stab in the dark, right? What do you think? Do you think those are the mages? I think so. What do you mean, making you nervous with my blade-cutting techniques? Yeah, I poked myself pretty good one night with the hobby knife. It was not during a show. Actually, I was recording a video and poked myself right in the thumb with that hobby knife, and it was like, oh, man. And it would not stop bleeding, which, actually, part of that is because of a medication I have to take following the heart attack, so I have to kind of be careful. It's not like, I'm a bleeder or something like that, but... All right, so we got Edith, Garen, Hugo. Oh, Hugo's an owl? Owl-headed thing? Okie doke. Gretchen. Lunk. So, okay, Edith, Garen, Hugo, Gretchen, Lunk. So these are... Oh, maybe these are all a different faction, because we've got this little icon up here. But there's only 4 factions, so... you know what? I bet you it's the color. The color is going to determine their faction. That is my guess. That the color is going to determine the faction. Here I would have thought it's purple, and she's wearing purple. I was like, oh, well, they're all going to be wearing purple. But I guess not. Take a stab. Maybe that's their victory point or their cost. All right, so yeah, it was very stabby. So then we've got Does each of these characters get... No, it can't be. Each character doesn't get their own deck. As I mentioned, this is a Martin Wallace game, so obviously enough, usually with Martin Wallace designs, there's something that you go, huh? It's usually how it works. So it's got the different characters. So I'm taking a stab in the dark, not with my hobby knife, but just taking a stab. Okay, so here. Okay, so this is kind of, so it's got a little bit of like almost, you know, rock paper scissors sort of thing to it, right? So an attack like this defended like that. Range attacks are defended by this. I guess that's probably a magical attack. Or area attack is defended by that. So I'm taking a wild stab in the dark. These are your character cards. So remember, we saw that it was talking about, well, you have your miniature on your character card, and if you have to reveal one every turn. So these are probably your character cards here. And it's just telling you like the kind of character they are, my guess. And then you probably shuffle your deck. Start off with so many cards. Let's say 3, right? Because you're going to draw 3 more cards. So this is going to tell you what you're able to do. Is my guess. This is just my guess. So for an example, with this character here, you probably have, well, I've got these options to do this with the character, and then I've got the option to do this with that character. So that, just stab in the dark, gang. That's what I'm thinking. It's probably how this works. So we've got those. So that's this faction, which there was a name for it. I don't know. I don't know who the purple are. You know what? They're all purple. So I don't know. So I'm going to make sure I keep these decks kind of together. So I'm going to put that back in here. Let's take a look at where it says unknown. I don't know. I don't know who that is. We're going to look at the miniatures in just a bit. And the miniatures look pretty good. And there's something that they've done to these miniatures that's pretty cool too. And I'll point that out. So we got unknown. Stuck together. Come on, what's going on here? Carrick. Chizak, I should say. Chizak. Yeah, okay. It's Jizsock. All right, sorry. Anyway. Marie. All right, so wait a second. So we got these oddball names. Chizak, Carrick, unknown. And then there's Marie. Is there Bob next? Is Bob next? No, Conrad. Conrad the Wolf? Wear the kilt? Taking a guess that these are the pit fighters. That is a stab in the dark. And then we got their cards here. Got different cards. Looks like he's an orc. Might be like half orc. Nobody has a clue. He's unknown. Got Marie. Here's our werewolf buddy Conrad. Okay, so that's this deck here. I'm not sure what these cards represent. It looks like there's one for each of the characters, right? So is that like a move? So I saw like this is like the interrupt, right? That's draw 2 cards. I don't know. Maybe that's moving, but I would think you'd be able to move the other stuff. Yep, Conrad the Furry. So, okay, so that's that deck. Let's see what this little deck is. I wonder if, because I don't see any dice. I wonder if this deck is like a numbered deck. 1, 3, 4, 5, 10. 20. Are we going to go up to 30? Yeah, going higher than 30. 42. Now, if I remember, we had some pretty high numbers on the map. Let's take a look, see how high a number we go. Sure enough, 42. So these cards must represent something along the lines of, maybe these are where you put the shards. Maybe you deal these out. You know, so many cards, right? So, oh, okay, so there's a shard in area 20. I bet you that's what these are for. Because they go up to 42, and there are the areas on this map, the board, I should say, are numbered up to 42. So that is that's my guess there. All right, so let's take a look at, put this over here. Let's take a look at the other decks real quick, just see what these characters look like. Okay, so these are not the nomads, I don't think. So we got a fan. Yes, he's a fan. Matilda, the Minotaur. Okay, yeah, and K, kind of like, yeah, area numbers. I don't. Everything's not broken up into as a room. So, yes, unknown the Jizzlock. Joni from Joni Loves Chachi, obviously. Can tell right there. James and Myra. Okay, so then we got their cards. And of course, obviously, you have to figure out which of these characters, what their specialties are. You know, I'm sure some of the characters their specialties are more attacking. Some are probably more defensive players. Some are probably magic wielders. So, all right. And then we've got each of the characters have one of these cards, which have the same backing as everything else. So they get dealt into this deck. And then we've got kind of like a summary card for them. Would have been nice if they had said what faction it was on that summary card. Okay, so we've got that deck, and then we've got this one, which it's got to be the Nomads, everybody. Here come the Nomads. So, Automate, so it looks like it's kind of a automaton, I should say. Elsie. It almost looks like it's like maybe like a disabled kid, kind of, doesn't it? It's a possibility. Shiv. It's like they're a goblin of some sort. Oh, there we go. There, now we got a gnome. Janald and Tack. So a couple of gnomes. And then, of course, we've got their deck cards. Artwork's pretty decent. Okay, so we got these. And then, of course, we'll get to the individual cards here, like this. Okay, so let's look at the minis. So first off, I can tell these miniatures here are the Nomads. And now we're going to hopefully keep our fingers crossed that we can actually get a pretty good look at the miniatures. Yeah, it looks okay. So, what you'll notice they've done is they've given them an ink wash. They're plastic. They're gray plastic. Yeah, it's plastic. I was gonna say, is it plastic? I better double check, make sure it's not resin. No, it's plastic. It's too light. Let's get rid of that little hair sitting there. It's too light to be resin. So it looks like this is that automaton automate with a crossbow. Okay, then this is the one that looks like it's the disabled kid. It like spider legs. So as you can see, the detail is pretty nice on these. And so they've been given this ink wash. So this ink wash, of course, obviously is going to make the details pop a little bit. But if you were to paint these, there are a lot of people. Now, I was not one of these folks who would do an ink wash like this and then paint, leaving like the black in the receded crevices and stuff. I would use washes, but I did not use black. But you'll see a lot of people do paint their minis with these black washes, so that folds and details pop. I just never did that because I would actually use various different colors for my washes. So I'd make a little darker, and then I dry brush, things like that. Spider Kid, kill it, kill it! Okay, and then it's got another gnome. So, like I said, you can tell a pretty good detail on these. So figure you got 20 minis in the game, so you got 20 miniatures in the game, and it carries an MSRP of $80. Now, I will point out, I have actually seen Wildlands going on Amazon for about half price. I know people flip out when I mention online retailers and stuff, but yeah, I believe you can get it on Amazon for about 42, 43 bucks. So even if you had like really no interest in the actual game, 20 minis for 40 bucks. Pretty good deal. All right, so this is, I think this was Tam. This little, looks like a little, almost like a blunderbuss. Although I would think that would be a lot larger. Cool. Like I said, pretty nice detail on these. And with the ink, it makes it pop. Okay, so let's continue on. So we've got this one over here. So this is it's almost like a devil. So we've got those. All right, and then we've got Madeline the Minotaur. Here comes Madeline the Minotaur, everybody. Here we go. Everybody say hi. Okay, so that's Madeline the Minotaur. Let's come out. Let's pop out just too much. There we go. That's a little better. Some of the miniatures a little bit larger, so yeah, that's pretty cool. Pretty nice. Got another one here. I can see he's painting up pretty nicely. Nothing I hate more than really soft detail. Here's something else I should point out. These are plastic. 99.9% positive these are plastic. But it's not soft plastic. So you'll see a lot of games will have like that real soft plastic, so everything's got a lot of give on it. So when you paint the minis, before you paint them, you have to actually treat that plastic to stiffen it up. Because if you don't, if you just prime the figure and paint it, because it'll have so much give. Well, this has a little bit of give, but it's not real soft. And I know a lot of companies will be like, oh, well, just take the miniatures and put them in boiling water, and then you can reshape them. And it's like, you know what? That usually does not work as well as you think. But I have to point out, these have nice, stiff plastic, so be able to paint them up and not have to worry about the paint flaking off as it does with the soft plastic. Okay, so take a look at the other miniatures. I'm going to put this swap places here. Okay, so here we've got, I believe these are the mages. Why in the world there's not. Oh. What the heck? I don't know. I'm not coming in right. All right, so this is pretty cool. This guy's big. This guy's really big. It's almost like the mountain. Really looks like the mountain here. Nefarious says, had to dip about half my Folklore of the Affliction minis in boiling. Right. That was one of the things that was a knock when I did my review of Folklore of the Affliction. That was one of the knocks, was they did the soft plastic. Same thing with Sword and Sorcery from Ares Games. They do the soft plastic, and you know, they do pretty nice sculpts in that, but that soft plastic is a pain. So there we go. And then I'm trying to remember what you use to actually treat it. Once you boil it and straighten it out, you actually have to treat that plastic almost with a resin to actually make it stiffen up. All right, so we got another one of the mages here. Yeah, she's a crone. Ah. Would you like an apple, Snow White? Go there. Now we got this owl guy. Kind of looks kind of cool. I think this is where I got the impression that this was like an fantasy animal game. Like the various games call it a furry game. I won't say furry, but yeah, pretty cool. I like that. Okay, and then we've got this one here. Whoops, bring it back down a little bit. It's Obi-Wan Kenobi! Without a lightsaber, though. Is that oh, looks like he's carrying like a crystal ball or something. Cool. Okay, so we got that. And then we have the witch. So, with her broom. I'm here to clean up after all the fighting. Okay, so we've got that. And then I think these are the pit fighters. These look pretty cool. We've got almost like I guess, is this unknown? Is this the unknown guy? Maybe not. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Then it's like, I want to say this was like almost like a half orc with a battle axe here. Okay, then we've got I think this is the guy who is the orc. Take these brass knuckles here. I know they're not brass knuckles, but still. Furries and gaming. Another gaming fad to go with zombies and Vikings. Not as much though, thankfully. You can thank Japanese manga and anime for, really. Especially, you know, I've never understood the whole like cat girl, the female characters with like cat ears or animal ears. All right, and tails. It's like, yeah, okay. All right, whatever. That's just an oddball fetish in my book. Robert, these are 32 millimeter, so a little bigger. And then this is the last one here. He almost looks like this is the, I guess this is the werewolf guy who's kind of wearing a kilt, carrying a couple of hand axes. There you go. So those are the factions there. So let me put these decks back in. And let's take a moment here. I'm just going to move this off to the side. I'll put all that together in just a moment. Let's take a look at these expansions. real quick, we'll take a look at this expansions. I'm not going to flip through the entire decks for them because they do come with decks. So we've got the Unquiet Dead, and these each have 6. So and of course it requires the Wildlands to play. So we got the Unquiet Dead, and we have the Adventuring Party. So that's kind of interesting, the Adventuring Party. And as I mentioned, these carry an MSRP of $25. So time for the old hobby knife again. Yes. I'm sure it's like, oh no, here comes that hobby knife again. He's Jackalnapes. Actually, yeah. Could be kind of a jackal looking. You know, funny thing is, he looked more like a jackal as a miniature than on the card. So that's why I was like, is that the wolf guy? Okay, so let's open this up. So let's look at the Adventuring Party. So we've got... Oh, look, this even has a little plastic cover to it, too. That's cool. And it's not stapled on. So I thought they had 6 minis. It's only 4? That has 4. This says 6. So I guess there's 2 more underneath here. But the Adventuring Party only has 4. Alright, so... see who we got here. So we've got Harm, Tom, Chris, Elena. So these are the 4 adventurers here. The Adventuring Party. Alright, like I said, we're not going to go digging through. It looks like we've got like a He-Man, a Thief, maybe kind of like a Cleric character, and a Magic User. So, let's take a look at their miniatures. So he's kind of this guy's kind of a Conan. You know what? And I'll actually leave him against the white. Or actually against his little rule book here. Because I think that's actually letting the details pop a little bit. So, yeah, the components are pretty nice here. You guys may have moved past. Robert, you're talking about an old Avalon Hill game. Which game are you talking about? Just kind of curious. All right, so this guy is kind of like the Conan. Here's the one who looked sort of like they're a cleric, almost. And once again, you see, it's got that ink wash on it. So, and it kind of feels, as I'm kind of holding these and turning these, it feels like it's almost, I don't want to say that there's really a primer on it, but it does have a little bit of like a stickiness to it. Oh, Hannibal and Hamilcar. You know, I did an unboxing for that. I have yet to actually get a chance to play it. The new deluxe edition from Ares Games. I have, you know, and I feel bad because it looks really, really cool. And of course, yes, it's always had these great reviews. But I'm having a hard time getting anybody to play it. Because, unfortunately, there we go, get a little focus in here. So here's the mage, the magic user. She's got like a book in her hand. So, hey, you know, there's nothing saying that you couldn't bust these out with Frostgrave, right? It's also from Avalon, or not Avalon. It's also from Osprey Games. So here we go. We've got those. Those are those minis. Now let's take a look at the Unquiet Dead. And here, this is just talking about... all right, come on, you. We've got just a booklet with like encounter looters set up. They're taking our stuff. Oh, so looks like each of the expansions also has kind of a new scenario in it. Yeah, there's new encounters in it. So the adventuring party and the unique... Why do I keep saying unique? The Unquiet Dead. Jeez. Also have new little scenarios in them. Okay, so it looks like we've got an archer. Zoom back out again. Good enough? Yeah, a little bit more. Okay, so... Yeah, see, now there are 6 in this. So we've got... Because these are probably not as tough. Because they're just undead. So we've got an archer. We've got a hermit. An undead hermit? Okay. Swordsman. Guard. And maid. It's the undead maid. Look out. Watch out. I need more wargaming victim volunteers. And then we got a lord who doesn't look undead. Does not look undead. Looks more like a goblin or an orc. Okay, so that's that. Looks like, nah, same thing. Just different icons here. I was going to say, oh, do they have different things that they do? Nah, same thing. Okay, so let's look at the miniatures. I'm going to just flip this back over again. And zoom back in. Alright, so... Just a little bit more. Okay, there we go. Alright, so, there's one of the undead here. Undead Archer. There you go. That's what he's holding. He's holding the bow. One thing I always found to be a pain was trying to string the bows on your minis. So, yes, the leader miniatures are huge in the deluxe edition that came out from Ares Games. Okay, so here we go. Swordsman. So we got a skeleton swordsman. I like the miniatures. I think these are pretty nice sculpts. They're pretty nice sculpts here. And then, jeez, got another undead warrior here with an axe in his skull. So that's good. There we go. All right. And then we got another archer. So there's two of these guys who are carrying bows. So we got this guy here. Like I said, I have to admit, I appreciate the fact that Osprey has given these a wash, so that if even if you're not interested in painting these up, at least there's some detail that's popping. So this is the maid. It's like all the hair is like covering the maid's face. And then finally we have looks like the Lord. You know, maybe he's a zombie. Just kind of the way he's holding his hand, like brains. So, but he does kind of look like an orc. Maybe, yeah, because look at his ears. His ears are like pointed. So I don't know. Cool, very cool. This looks really interesting, I gotta admit. But you know, most Martin Wallace games are pretty interesting. So zoom back out, and we've got the expansions for Wildlands. So the core game has, let me cover these up with the plastic as I put this stuff together. So we have the 4 decks of cards, the 4 factions of 5 miniatures each. So altogether 20 minis. We got this numerical deck of cards. We've got the board. we got the rules, and that is what we find when we take everything from Wildlands. Come on, you. Outside the box. So, I am going to be reviewing this. Let me, just so it doesn't get lost. Make sure I put the correct deck with the correct expansions here. There we go. Anyway, of course, I am going to have a review of Wildlands in the very near future. It doesn't look like it's very difficult. A Zombork. Yeah, maybe. Maybe it is a zombie orc. No. And yes, Rob, good point. If you're not a painter, the wash is very nice. See, and I interviewed Pablo Parente. I think that's Parenta. Way back in the day when I lived in Arizona, and we talked. We were at a. He was in from China at this game store that was kind of hosting a big dust tournament and stuff, and he had come in, and it was funny. I did an interview. We were talking, and I said, you know, what drives me nuts is if you're playing a miniatures game, as I try to put the cap on the old hobby knife without stabbing myself. I said, you know, to me, it drives me nuts when I see, and you see a lot of people, Warhammer 40K is big on this. They'll just have primed armies, and then they play with the primed armies. And to me, one of the biggest appeals of playing miniature games is to paint them and to show them off and have that visual pop on the tabletop that's just insane. There's nothing like a nice, they don't even have to be perfectly painted, just tabletop quality is fine. And like, for an example, my brother, who's not a huge gamer, but he does go down to Gen Con to help me as my cameraman every year. And last year I brought my nephew Cameron with for a couple of days. They both love going and checking out like the miniatures area where they're doing the miniatures games in the main hall. And they were like, wow, that's so awesome. Because there's just nothing like having really cool painted miniatures on the tabletop. It's just, you know, and if you don't paint them, I don't know. I don't see what the big appeal is. Maybe just, you know, because like, for an example, like Warhammer 40K, Warhammer, they're not that in depth. Those rules aren't super, super crunchy. Granted, there's all these little tidbits of different things, but the core rules are actually fairly simple. So, but yeah, I remember I was talking about, he and I were both agreeing that you really need to paint miniatures. And I got all these people who were bitching at me for being an elitist. I was like, and they're like, I don't have time to paint, and I'm not paying somebody to paint my miniatures. Like, well then, go cut out some counters then, because that's all you might as well be using is counters. A lot of times when people don't paint their stuff and they just prime it, I couldn't even tell what the hell what's supposed to be what. So, but that's just me. But yeah, I thought it was funny. I had a lot of people telling me I was an elitist because I was telling people that they should paint their miniatures. So, even if they suck at them, even if you're not fast at painting them, give it a try. You might find out you really dig it. And, you know, you just throw on some, you know, movies that you've seen a billion times in the background. I used to watch a lot of history stuff when I was painting up my 15mm American Civil War army, which I had, I think altogether was like 8,000 figures. So, anyway, all right. So that is it for today's show. As I mentioned before, Wildlands is from Osprey Games, designed by Martin Wallace. It is for 2 to 4 players, ages 14 and up. Each story or adventure takes about 30 to 60 minutes to play. Carries an MSRP of $80. The expansions carry $25 MSRPs. But as I mentioned, I saw Wildlands for almost half price on Amazon. So yes, Nefarious Coel's right. Painting miniatures is very therapeutic. So anyway, so on tomorrow's show, as I was supposed to do today, I will be reviewing John Carter of Mars from Modiphius Entertainment. Hey, at least tonight's show was fun. Granted, you know, kind of had to replace doing the review at the last moment. But yeah, kind of cool. And Wildlands looks interesting. I will be busting this out to play. All right, so as I like to point out, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, please visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in gaming news, reviews, comics, movies, TV. By now you know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. And if you're not a subscriber to the channel, please subscribe. So, enjoy the rest of your Thursday night. Everybody who popped into chat, thank you very much for kind of hanging out with me again tonight. I will be back tomorrow. And as always, thank you very much for watching. Thanks again for watching The Daily Dope, presented by The Gaming Gang. If you like this episode, be sure to give it a quick thumbs up. And if you dig the channel, please subscribe. If you'd like to check out our previous episode, click right here. And if you want to check out a somewhat randomly selected episode, give a click right down here. It'll be like opening a box of Cracker Jacks. You just don't know what you'll get. Once again, thanks for watching, and I'm Jeff McAleer.